to the Infinite Thinking Machine live here at the Q 2015 conference. My name is Diane Main, and I brought people, apparently. And I am sitting here with Robert Craven, who is our board president for the Q board. And he brought people as well, some of the same people. And we just wanted to have a little conversation with Robert and talk a little bit about, this is his final year on the board, final term, and stepping down both as board member and president. And, a little bit about the legacy that you feel you're leaving behind and stuff like that. So want to tell us a little bit about you?
That's like a tough question there. I wasn't ready for that. That's tougher. No, it's been a fabulous. Well, first, it's so nice to be interviewed by you this year. It's a pleasure, and it's it's been a wonderful 6 years. I feel that I've grown tremendously in the work that I do at my day job through this. It's really helped me understand the board perspective considerably, which is terrific. And I think it's exciting when we were Mike and I have gone through some notes recently, and looking when I first joined the board, our conference was 2,400 attendees. And as you're saying today, that would not have filled the conference room this morning to hear Sugata. So it's great to be in a spot where we're approaching 6,000 people a few years later.
I'm wondering if, since the time you've been on the board, if there's been some development in ed tech or something that you think is the next biggest thing, or the thing that you're most surprised or intrigued about that you've seen happen during your tenure on the board?
I do, and it's interesting because it's not a technology piece. It's and a number of us have talked about this before. I think a lot of us have talked about this. How all of a sudden in the last 2 years, maybe, technology has gone from the little kid table to the big table in conversations in our districts. And that's a really exciting to be part of that time and part of that change, where all these things that we've been talking about for years, suddenly everybody in the district is interested in. The superintendent, board, cabinet, every teacher now is suddenly interested in, how do I start to do this in my classroom? What is this Minecraft thing? Diane, tell me about Minecraft. But getting to that spot where the conversation about technology no longer is, how do we get the technology into the classroom, or do I really have to have it there? But wow, how can we be impactful in the way this influences the learning going on in our classroom? So that's the biggest change that I've seen during my time.
Like a move from it's not about the tools to the tools are there, let's focus on pedagogy, right? And in a way, that's part of, with Q and the recent rebranding, and Q used to stand for computer using educators, and nowadays you can't be an educator and not use computers. So it's more of the organization fills a different role, and you've been on the board or at the helm even during a lot of that transition. Can you tell us any more about some of the things that are happening going forward?
Yeah, I think you hit the one big piece that I think we're really excited is that transition from computer using educators to Q. It really is just now, as we were saying, about how the technology is utilized by everybody and making it part of the learning experience. Going forward, the big things are, for so many years, Q was 2 staff members, 3 staff members, and a lot of volunteers putting this together. We've been able to expand the amount of staff, and as we look now and have this wonderful conference with all these people, we look at different ways to support it, and a lot of those are behind the scenes.
Right.
And so some of it in our strategic plan that we released last year, looking at things like the association management software. So it's not a high-profile, interesting piece, but it's one of those pieces that really helps run the conference and helps run the organization and all the professional development that we do. So that's one of the key pieces going forward in the next few years here, is to get that transition solidified and that new system in place to make Q a better, more effective organization.
Well, and the organization itself and its number of employees and its scope has grown. Also, the conference, the annual conference, will going forward be the Q National Conference. And so what brought about that change? Is that the same thing you're describing, or does Q really reach out to more than just the California and Nevada audience?
I think we've always seen good participation from other places, from Canada. We've seen groups from Mexico coming in. We've seen participation from around the country. And I think as we look going forward, it made sense to go back to that national conference idea. We're growing, we're large, we have so many attendees here, we have so many members, that really why we focus on California and Nevada, why that's where our heart is, that's where the majority of our work is done, we start seeing rock stars. People want rock stars around the country, around the world. People want our professional development around the world. So it really then makes sense to cast ourselves a little bit larger nationally, because there is a demand for the unique work that Q does. And that's what's so great, is that our membership has unique skills that they can bring and offer to educators around the world. And that's one of the things that I think differentiates Q from all the other educational technology organizations.
Yeah, I'd have to say, knowing so many of the people that are leading the sessions and workshops, we do have an amazing team of people that volunteer and step up to do these things. You mentioned the Q Rockstar events, and I know that we have the Unconference edition to this conference. Is that kind of symptomatic of the need for lots of different formats and ways for people to get their professional development, do you think?
I think that's exactly what it is. It's offering everybody choice, right? Everybody wants choice, and there's so many wonderful things happening, and some of them are great in that targeted hour session. Some are great in a 3-hour professional development workshop or an all-day workshop, and then some are more, off the cuff. And let's go to the Unconference. And I have this question, and I don't seem to get quite, I can't quite find it anywhere. I can't put my finger on it exactly. Let's go to the Unconference and see what happens. So it is, and the Rockstar, I think, is just that such an energizing, exciting piece that people leave just ready to take on the world from it. So they are unique pieces, and it is trying to give something to everybody in our community, and that's one of the other great pieces of Q, is we're almost 40 years old now, so we have people that have been at this a long time.
I'm almost 40 years old.
So it's offering choice, because we have so many varied levels of experience, and being able to tap all of that as well.
So more on a personal note, you mentioned this morning, I think it was this morning, about during the time you've been on the board and devoting a lot of your time to that, you've actually changed positions quite a few times. And you mentioned like 6 different superintendents you've worked with. And you also mentioned just a few moments ago how you've gained skills and experience through serving on the board that have really helped you in your day job, in your career. What's an example of the kind of soft skills or something that you've taken away from your board experience that's helped you in your professional life?
That's a fabulous question. That really is a good question. And just, I've not had 6 jobs. I've had 6 superintendents.
I was thinking, I was adding it up, going, you haven't changed jobs every year.
I'm not Andrew Schwab, so.
Ooh, I don't know if he's around, but.
No, I have had quite a few jobs, though, and I think 4 during my tenure. But I think what it is, it's really helped me analyze and see the difference between board and staff. So when I go back and I'm as coordinator, or now as a director or senior director of my district, in those different positions, it's helped me to understand how my role as staff fits into the greater organization and what the board's trying to do when we go to the board meetings. At a more personal, and the other things it's done is it's really helped me with just, as you kind of mentioned, some of those soft people skills, the ability to really run an effective meeting, the ability to think big as well. It's great to have these wonderful, large conversations with our board and staff and members, and then how to bring that back and to distill it into something that's actionable for the organization. And so to be able to do that and then have such wonderful people to work with, between Mike and Suzanne and Kurt Larson, Brian Bridges, Kyle, Jason, Andrew. I mean, it's been such a great group of people that I've served with and that have worked with me. It's really helped me develop those skills and become a better person, and I am grateful and thankful to them for that.
And of course, you mentioned your kids. As educators and as members of Q, we never can completely divorce ourselves from the role that we play in our families. Do you think that your kids have been aware? I mean, Andrea has been very small, when you got on the board. Do you think that they have an understanding and awareness of what it means to be on this kind of a organizational board, and do they think you've changed? Or
that's great. That's a great question too. I think Miguel, especially because he's a little bit older, has gathered an awareness of it, and being at the conference and seeing it over the years, I think it definitely has impacted him a little bit. And Andrea, I think, is starting to see that now, and so it'll be fun to have her here this week on Saturday to take her around and show her a little bit tomorrow. And I hope too what it does is show them that there's a lot to giving back to your community and giving back to what you're interested in. Find that spot where your interests lie give back to it. You know, don't just take from it. And that's one of the things that Q's been so wonderful at allowing me to do that. And so I hope I've set that example for them.
Yeah.
And then, as I said too, I hope it's the work that I've done has inspired teachers here, just whether it's they're going to some great sessions and seeing great things, and they take that back now and they make it better for my kids or all of our children here in California, and hopefully your son as well.
Yes.
So.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Robert. It's been a lot of fun having a
Diane.
chat with you,
Yeah.
even though we had the throngs of people going by and it was a little hard to focus. But I wish you all the best as you're moving on from this position on the board, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Diane. It was a pleasure.
Looking for more great ideas? Check out infiniteThinking.org to catch all previous episodes, as well as links to everything featured in this show. And if you've got mad love for the ITM, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And remember, you are the Infinite Thinking Machine.